Notice of this meeting was advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know for next time. Roll call.
Mrs. Trueblood will be absent this evening. Mr. Cartier?
Present.
Mrs. Jackson? Present. Mr. Tompkins?
Here.
Mr. Allen?
Present. This meeting is now called to order. Closed session resolution number 162-2016 authorizes council to go into closed session. My understanding is we do have a closed session topic, workers' comp.
Yes, it's workers' compensation litigation settlement in the matter of Arthur Baker.
Are there any others?
I have a question. If that's on the agenda, why is it closed session?
Because we can provide you some additional information relative to the person's injuries, which counsel is usually asked about.
Yeah, but we knew about them before. Not all of us. No, we've talked about it since I came back to council.
We have done it in this way a number of times where we've put it on the agenda and then talked about it in closed session before the council votes. We need to do this because of the court schedule and the dates by which we need to have an answer. So.
Are there any other?
I'm not arguing the point that it needs to be done, but I'm arguing the point that it's on the agenda. Why is it a closed session item if it's on the agenda?
Settlement itself is on the agenda. The details of the litigation and the negotiations is a closed session topic.
Andy, is this fine?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's before you vote and consider settlement, I guess administration and through my office as well just wants to advise you on sort of the background to how you got to this proposed settlement, so you understand before you vote.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve closed session resolution number 162-2016 workers' comp litigation settlement?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Ms. DePalma?
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Council will now go into closed session and return immediately after. We are back. There is no action pursuant to our closed session. Yeah, it's already on.
Yeah.
Public comments. This portion of the meeting allows the public to come forward to discuss any issue on the agenda or off. Ms. Quinn? Ms. Quinn, if you could just state your name and sign your name and address for Ms. DePalma.
Ann Quinn, Country Lakes. A couple of questions on some of the items on the agenda, just for some clarification. 163-2016. Can somebody expand on that?
The three lieutenants actually want to use their own personal cell phones for business, and in doing so, they will receive a $40 reimbursement per month.
Uh, 165-2016. This application, I'm assuming, is for a campaign like we've had in the past. For drunk driving or for buckle up kind of thing? Yes?
The funds can be used towards drunk driving enforcement. And that's, the amount is on the agenda.
We've done this almost annually for the, past 3-4 years that I know of.
Yep.
That's what I was asking. Under new business. Recreation and Senior Services purchase of a Sony 75-inch smart TV from Best Buy. Didn't we just buy a TV for a little over $4,000 not too long ago?
We talked about it, but they didn't get the TV. This is not in addition to another TV. It's just the price was a little lower in a different company.
That TV was not available.
Right, and then they were going to go directly to the manufacturer, I believe.
And it was not available.
So this is now replacing all that. It's the same TV, but it's...
One single TV
It's not an additional.
will potentially be purchased. And this TV is actually cheaper.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands, this portion of the meeting is now closed. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the Township Council and will be enacted by one motion. Should a council member wish to discuss a consent agenda item separately, that item can be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the regular agenda. Council, are there any items that you would like discussed? Jack, I know you requested to pull.
I would like to pull 170, 2016.
Council, are there any others?
163. 177.
177, yep. Hearing no others, Council, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
I'll second.
Ms. DePalma, please poll the council.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ken, you requested to pull number 163.
Yes, and I apologize for not asking these questions earlier. I've been a bit tied up lately. What do we currently pay for our cell phone plan for these officers?
We actually pay in excess of $40 a month with data and all of that. Per officer, per month. So this actually is, at worst, it's a wash, and at best, it saves a few dollars per month to us. They do have our phones now, and their preference is to use their own phone so they don't have to carry two of them with all of the stuff. And we had arrived at that $40 a month, in part based on this is what we do with 3 other employees that are not part of unions. The chief, one of our department directors who asked for it, and me, and as you've seen in the bill list. So
that's all.
I have a question. Anyone that's not a lieutenant, what do they use? Do they use their personal?
Well, no, because there are. The patrol officers don't need a business phone because they have other communications equipment. If there is a specific need for, say, a detective or to have a phone, then they're issued a phone at our cost. The reason this came to you in this way was because this was a sidebar agreement with a particular bargaining unit, which consists only of the 3 lieutenants. And it's not an issue that I have addressed with any of the other bargaining units. The only people that have this would be the 3 lieutenants because of this contract, and then the 3 non-contracted employees.
That's good.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve resolution number 163-2016?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. DePalma?
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Jack, you requested to pull resolution number 170-2016.
Yes, I won't be voting on this. I know the gentleman involved with this, and we are both also life members of the same chapter of Disabled American Veterans, so I think there would be a conflict.
Is there a motion to approve resolution number 170-2016?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Cartier? Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Jack, you have to abstain.
Abstain, sorry.
And Mr. Allen?
Yes. Resolution number 177-2016. Mr. Cartier?
Where is this proposed for?
This is part of the grant, the county parks development grant that we got for Bayberry Park. We're up there now redeveloping that park. We've removed all the basketball courts, and part of that submission to the county was a floating dock on the beach side of the park. So it's part of the grant.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear because it's not stated in this resolution anywhere.
Yeah, it probably should have said part of the parks development
Yeah.
grant. So we apologize. Or maybe it does.
Yeah, it didn't state which of the two lakes it was going to go on, and it should have. But it does say the Burlington County Bayberry / Mirror
I
Lake
see
Park
it now.
project.
Thank you. Yep.
And if I may let you know, this was put out to bid, and this includes delivery costs, but we're having Public Works do the installation, which saves us $5,700.
Is there a motion to approve resolution number 177-2016?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
If I may, real quick, how long is that dock?
The gangway was like 40 foot, I believe, and then I think it was like an 8 by 20 foot T section off of it at the end.
So how much of it is going to be land-based?
Actually, I believe it starts at the water's edge. We're going to pour a concrete walkway on the beach going to the waterway where we would anchor to, and then the gangway would float out, and so will the T.
The lake's not that wide there. You can almost walk all the way across the lake.
It's pretty good size. You know, it'll take you out a little ways, get you out to where the fish are anyway.
Ordinances for second reading and/or public hearing. Ordinance number 10-2016, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton amending Chapter 182-31 of the Code of the Township of Pemberton entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule A, No Parking. This portion is now open to public comment. Seeing no hands, this portion is now closed to public comment. Council, is there any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 10-2016?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
No.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ordinance number 11-2016, bond ordinance amending bond ordinance number 12-2015, finally adopted by the Township of Pemberton and the County of Burlington, State of New Jersey on September 5th, 2012, to amend the description of the improvements referred to therein. This portion of the meeting now is open to the public. Seeing no hands, this portion of the meeting is now closed to the public. Council, As we understand, this bond ordinance was adopted September 5th, 2012, for the construction of a fuel facility. All of the money was not used, so we would like to reappropriate some funds for the purchase of 2 properties for the purpose of redevelopment. Is there any...
Mr. Council President, may the purpose is for recreational use to add to the park.
Right.
And just to be clear, these funds actually started in 2006, correct? Bond ordinance number 22, 2006,
Right.
and then brought forward in 2012, and then being brought forward. Okay.
Council, is there any more?
So these funds have been sitting around for a while doing nothing.
Is that right? Is there any further discussion?
Did you open it?
Sorry?
Did you open it?
I did. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 11-2016?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ordinance number 12-2016, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton authorizing the purchase of the property located at 16 Market Street. This portion of the meeting is now open to the public. Deacon Bailey, is your hand up? Seeing no hands, this portion of the meeting is now closed to the public. Council, is there any discussion on this proposed ordinance? We do know that these funds are coming from the UEZ account. And this is contingent upon a property appraisal and environmental review.
We have received the appraisal on the property that came in less than what we had offered to purchase, and we've negotiated with the seller on that lower price, explaining that that's all we can pay. So they're aware of that, and their realtors working with their client to come to an agreement. So
Sounds good.
it won't be any more than this. The appraisal came in at $85,000, and that's what we've offered now to the realtor. So it'll be much less.
Sounds good. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 12-2016? Thank you.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
No.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ordinance number 13-2016, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton authorizing the purchase of properties located at 11 Columbus Ave and 19 South Lakeshore Drive in the Township from Lester Hodgson. This portion of the meeting is now open to the public. This portion of the meeting is now closed to the public. Council, is there any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve, adopt ordinance number 13-2016?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Palmer?
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ordinance number 14-2016, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton authorizing the purchase of the property located at 42 Juliustown Road. This portion of the meeting is now open to the public. Sir. Please state your name also.
Charles Charleroi, Browns Mills. I'm just questioning, is this simply what is being allocated for now, or is this already bargained out as what's going to be the price for that property?
I believe we've already negotiated.
It's been negotiated.
Correct. We've negotiated a purchase price of that property of $500,000.
And I believe it appraised for more, correct?
Yes, it did.
Really, that did?
Yeah, it surprised me too.
Businesses
Yes,
are
that's
expensive.
very surprising. Well, that's all I have then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no, Mr. Petronas.
Good evening. George
Good
Petronas, Browns Mills. Since I haven't been to several of these meetings, I may be asking questions that have already been answered publicly in the past, but is the $500,000 coming out of the UEZ money that was set aside for the redevelopment?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that would mean that the $1 million UEZ fund is pretty much going to be exhausted after this purchase, is that correct?
Do we know how much money we have left remaining?
I believe we have approximately $630,000 left in that account. So by the time
Before
we get
this
done
purchase.
these purchases in this particular phase, that account will be pretty much empty. And then what we'll do is sell the property off and then take the proceeds from the properties and replenish the account.
Okay, so
Hopefully start over. That would be the plan.
okay, so in other words, the idea is we're not going to implement the redevelopment plan that was originally approved. We're going to buy and then resell these properties for a profit.
No, we are implementing the redevelopment plan that with the township approved. We're just a part of that in the sense that we're purchasing the properties, we're assembling the properties for a developer to be assigned to develop it.
Oh.
And then, we move on to the next phase of the plan,
Okay,
town approved.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that we were going to buy this property, then resell it. So the
Well, we will.
idea is to put them together into a bundle and sell them as a bundle, is that correct?
Correct. We would sell
I see.
this whole area where we're assembling properties right now, and it basically is between CVS and the emergency squad, that section right in there where the township parking lot is and the
Right.
Juliustown Road section. So that'll be a phase of our redevelopment plan that we'll take care of in this particular process.
So then you're not planning to spend public funds on this thing. As I say, I may be asking questions that have already been answered, but I've missed several months worth of meetings, so I apologize if I'm covering old ground. But then the plan is to not spend public funds for the redevelopment. It is to assemble a single block that can be turned over to a redeveloper as one unit rather than having him worry about picking up individual properties. Is that it?
That's the plan.
Okay. Thank you.
How long have we had the UEZ money?
Well, the UEZ program, I believe, was stopped at
Some
least
time ago.
4 or 5 years ago by the current governor. I believe they stopped it, and we no longer get any additional funds. That money's been sitting here for quite some time.
Ms. Quinn, you can come back to the mic.
I just have one question for this. How long is it going to take us? Do we have to prep the properties before you turn it over to a redeveloper? I'm curious to know what the timeline is.
I don't know that we would have a timeline at this point.
Well, my concern is we buy all these properties and then we don't have a developer and they sit empty. Either empty lots or empty buildings. So, we're buying all these pieces of property to be developed, but I don't hear anything further than we're buying them to sell them.
Well, I do believe we have a plan, but this is the initial phase. You have to first acquire the properties before you can do anything.
I understand that. But if this is, my question is, how long is this phase supposed to last, and when will the next phase start, meaning that you put it out to bid to developers?
I would say considerably shorter than the property sitting there vacant. So, however long the property's been sitting there empty, it's going to be considerably less time than we own the properties.
We can get into that if you'd like it during public comment, but we're getting off track of the subject of the ordinance, the topic of the ordinance at this point, getting into the plan of our redevelopment. We're going further out into the process of...
Yeah. I mean, it's in the ballpark, Mayor, in the sense that they're voting to acquire it, so for what purpose and that kind of thing.
But there is a plan, and we are negotiating with tenants for this area to come in and develop this property through a redeveloper.
So if I understand you correctly from my own understanding, you have already started negotiating with entities.
I've been negotiating with entities for the past 10 years to get into several places in the town, and this is one of the places that we are talking to some people now that have an interest in coming into that site, and that will be part of what we propose in bringing a redeveloper in to bring in the tenants with that redeveloper.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn. Council, is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 14-2016?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
No.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Discussion and possible introduction of an ordinance amending Chapter 142, regulating the placement and use of closing donation bins. Council, this was on the previous agenda. This ordinance establishes the rules, regulations, and guidelines for these bins. We had a few requests, and it looks like those were worked into the potential ordinance. Is there any discussion on this? Would anyone like to introduce this ordinance? If so, this would be ordinance number 15, and a public hearing would be set for September 7th.
I make the motion to introduce the ordinance of Township of Pemberton, amending Chapter 142 of the Code of the Township of Pemberton, entitled Peddling and Soliciting, to include regulating the placement and use of donation clothing bins, with a public hearing on September 7th, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Palmer?
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Moving on. Discussion and possible introduction of an ordinance banning the sale of puppy mills. Yes, puppy mill animals. Council, this also was on the previous agenda. This ordinance prevents the selling of puppy mill dogs and kittens within the community. We had left our conversation off the last meeting because this ordinance had to be tailored to Pemberton, as opposed to the standard language that was in the last agenda. If there is a motion to introduce, this would be ordinance number 16-2016, and a public hearing would be held September 7th, 2016.
I have a question. What is defined as a puppy mill?
Well, what you're actually, the title is a little different than what you're specifically doing. The restriction is that a pet shop may only offer for sale dogs and cats that the shop has obtained in connection either with an animal care facility or an animal rescue organization. And those two terms are defined up above. So that is what that's exactly what you're allowing. I think anything other than those two things are quote a puppy mill according to the SPCA.
So if I have a dog and it has puppies, I wouldn't be able to sell them?
No, I don't think that's true, Jack. I think that, because I have this same ordinance in another community, and that issue came up, and that is not what the SPCA is suggesting. It's, so that they're saying that wouldn't apply.
Is there any way we can get something like that put in here to clarify that private residents selling offspring of their own pets is authorized, or, you've come up with the verbiage, you're the lawyer, but I want to cover residents that have pets, that if they have additional pets, they have an avenue to get rid of them to quality homes.
That's where my question was leading with what defines a puppy mill. But to me, a puppy mill is somebody who has their canine impregnated, sells off the baby, and immediately has the canine impregnated again, just to be able to continuously have that income.
If they only have one animal, some people do that.
Right.
Some people have multiples of animals and do that. That's where I would think would be the puppy mill.
Andy, doesn't this ordinance only apply to pet stores and their sale of animals?
Correct.
Not a personal sale from a person?
Yes.
That's what
If
it
your
showed.
dog had, you may not be able to sell your dogs to a pet store because you could be considered
Right.
a puppy mill. This limits where a pet store has to buy their animals from in order to resell them to the public. It doesn't say anything about the
Correct.
citizens selling them.
Right, if you look at the definition of pet shop, it means a retail establishment where dogs and cats are sold, exchanged, bartered, or offered for sale as pet animals to the general public at retail. Right, so it's a retail establishment.
So you're governing what the retail establishment can do and can't do. They can sell, but they can only sell pets that they get from what's defined in the ordinance.
That's troublesome to me also, us dictating where a business can purchase their goods from.
Well, you wouldn't want them buying them from some luggage that came in from Brazil. People smuggle things in from foreign countries all the time, and that's not the way. And I think that's the intent here. I'm going to extremes, of course, but I think that's the intent, is to make sure that pet stores are buying animals from legitimate sellers. People that have a standard that is accepted by the SPCA, a certain standard that they approve.
How many legal pet stores do we have in the town?
Son. We had a puppy mill actually going on in a part of our town that our animal control had to deal with a while back, and that individual actually had a pet store in Willingboro. So these things do pop up to where they'll have 20 cages, and they're just breeding dogs, for sale.
Yeah.
So.
It's something that we had in our package at the last meeting. I jotted down some notes, but it said that puppy mills are known as breeding facilities or large-scale commercial breeding facilities. So looking at a puppy mill is large scale, not a residential, person that has a puppy and,
I understand what you're saying, Jason. I kind of agree with it, but it's not in here. And this is what people are going to be reading later on when they're enforcing the ordinance.
But what is it? What is in here is limiting where the business can purchase from.
Right, the ordinance does not prohibit puppy mills. The ordinance prohibits pet shops from buying from puppy mills. So the ordinance has nothing to do with puppy mills. That's regulated somewhere else, I guess. I'm not saying it 3 times fast. But no, it's an ordinance to regulate pet shops if in fact one, and what they're saying is pet shops are looking for towns that don't have protection, so they're opening up pet shops in those towns so that they can sell puppy mill animals.
and if there's not an ordinance in place, then
they would come in, set up
to
a pet
Pemberton
shop,
Township.
and then start selling puppy mill animals, and that's why the SPCA is encouraging towns to pass ordinances that regulate where pet shops, that make sure pet shops buy their animals from legitimate services. So, seems reasonable, I don't know.
Well, it's an animal kindness thing. Treatment. And that's really the purpose.
You know you love dogs, Ken.
I love dogs. I love dogs if they're breeded properly. I don't condone puppy mills by no means. But this ordinance, it goes too far, I think.
So is there something that you would like to see
I'd like
incorporated
to
in
see
it, or you just
The
don't
wording
agree with
the wording in there restricting themselves purchasing from a defined puppy mill. Because as this stands, they can't go out like Jack is saying. If my dogs end up having puppies, they can't purchase from me. No, granted, my dogs won't ever have puppies because I spay and neuter. But
Andy, can you, just like you tailored this from the last meeting, can you work that into the ordinance? Something restricting the purchase from a puppy mill and a definition of what a puppy mill is?
And on a personal note, I don't know if you can put this in or if it's the right thing to do, but I think it's nice. I think it might be nice if you put something in there that the township encourages its residents to visit the county shelter to adopt a pet if they're interested in a pet. That's where I got my dog, and he's the best dog in the world, I'm telling you.
Yep.
What kind of dog do you have?
Black Lab. And he was from West Hampton.
That could be in the whereas clause, if, sort of like a statement of policy, if that's the concurrence of the group.
That's fine. It's good support for the county also.
So can you just repeat that so I'll write it down?
yeah, especially since they no longer euthanize.
The
Township County, what? I'm sorry.
The township encourages the residents to, if they're looking for a pet, to visit the county animal shelter in West Hampton to adopt a pet. And I'm not an English major, so forgive me.
Yeah, I just need the concept.
Yeah.
So you will get that
Yes.
for the next meeting.
You bet.
So we have it nice, clean, concise, clear.
As always, Council President. Less is more.
Council's okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds good? Okay.
Keep in mind the SPCA wrote that form ordinance, not me. So let's be clear.
So we want to move forward with that, with the recommended changes? Take a vote on it?
Yeah, so we won't introduce it tonight. Andy
No.
will work on the language, and then we'll bring it back for the next meeting. Moving on, discussion and possible ordinance amendment to change the hours of sale for alcoholic beverages on Sunday. This portion of the meeting is now open to the public.
It's not.
This is union.
It's not even.
Oh, I'm sorry.
introduced.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Council, is there any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to introduce this ordinance? If it's introduced, it would be ordinance number 16-2016 with public hearing on September 7th. Is there a motion to introduce?
I'll make the motion to introduce, being the ordinance number 16, 2016, with public hearing on September 7th, 2016.
Is there a second?
I'll second it to move it forward.
Ms. DePalma?
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
No.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Okay, we have two New Jersey Firemen's Association membership applications, one for Jennifer M. Jacob and one for Peggy Ann Allen, no relation to me, with the Pemberton Township Volunteer Fire Company. Is there a motion to approve these applications under new business, 11 new business B?
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. DePalma?
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Abstain.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. We have a parade permit application for Iva Klemick for the First Baptist Church of Browns Mills at 201 Kinsley Road from 6:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on September 17th, 2016. There is a public hearing required for this permit application. If there's anyone from the public wishing to come forward to discuss this application, please do so now. Seeing no hands, just ayes. Council, what would you like to do with the,
What is this for?
so I asked Amy about that, and Mr. Klemick, Pastor Klemick, actually gave a response. This is a carnival type of fair on a vacant lot located on the 200 block of Kinsley, which is located in Sunbury. They'll be having games, crafts, and foods. This is a free event for the public. It appears that this has been an annual event since 2011.
Who owns the lot?
I'm not sure who owns the lot, but Pastor Klemick did receive approval from the property owner. Is there any other questions?
I don't have a problem with it.
Is there a motion to approve the parade permit?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Ms. DePalma?
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Did you open the public?
Yes.
Okay.
You did, right?
You did.
I did that, yeah, initially. Yes.
I think before you discuss,
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes,
Jason, can I ask a question?
sure.
For the TV, wouldn't that be discussed also, since we had pulled items off the consent agenda?
The TV purchase is on the consent agenda because it has the asterisk
Okay.
next to it.
Okay.
The bill list dated August 12th, 2016. Is there a motion to approve the bill list?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. DePalma?
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes, with the exception of any bills related to the fire department. Which I will abstain on, sorry.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve any bills listed under the fire department section?
The way we did it, it doesn't need to be done that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ken-
That's why I refrained from moving.
Got it. Thank you.
Cleaner way to do it.
Yeah. It only took us a couple months to figure that out.
Mr. Bear, you're up.
I have nothing tonight, Council President. Other than the fairness hearing for the approval of our Mount Laurel plan is September 14th, 3 o'clock, Judge Bookbinder in Burlington, Mount Holly. We have put the advertisement in the newspaper, and we're sending out notices to all potentially affected parties, and so that's moving ahead, just so everyone knows.
Sounds good. Thanks for the update. Administration?
Just a couple things. First, I attended the funeral of Mr. William Stinney the other day, the husband of former Councilwoman Diane Stinney. The family lost both parents this year in a short period of time, so if you could keep them in your prayers. Progress on well 11, the filtration system at well 11 is moving along nicely. I was out there the other day, looked at it. They have, the foundation poured for the building, and they are on schedule. So we are hoping to get that well back up online. It is one of our higher producing wells. So, and the Bayberry Park project, and I'm getting more excited every time I go out there. That Public Works is doing a phenomenal job. I encourage you to go out and take a look at the park. You won't recognize it at this point. They've really redesigned this thing, and when they're done, so it's going to be a small pocket park, but it's probably going to be one of the nicest parks in the township when they're done. It's really a nice job. So they're out there working hard on that, and just be conscious of this heat that we've been having, and from past experience that I've had with elderly folks and animals out in this heat, just be conscious of that. If you see something or you know someone that is maybe home alone you haven't heard from, check on them. This heat is bad. It's really bad. And we got a little break today. I think it's supposed to get better the rest of the week, but summer's not over. Just keep that in your thoughts. That's all I have.
Dennis?
Mr. Council President, just one thing I'd like to thank Donna DePalma for stepping up and helping us in the absence of our clerk and deputy clerk. Well done. Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you, Donna.
Doing a good job.
I did have one other thing. I met with DeBoer on the project that they have going on right now. They've got a development project that they'll be presenting to the township, to the board. It's at Pinelands now. It's going to bring some really nice services to the community here when it's completed. They're hoping to break ground by the end of the year and be up and running by the end of 17. So I will get back to you with more information and updates on exactly what's going in there. But there's some really exciting things coming that way. And tomorrow I meet with the company that's doing the market study for the college property, for the county's property over there. So we're going to discuss the direction that study's going. And I'll get back to you with more information on that also.
Okay. Quick question. I was out at Mirror Lake sometime last week, and I was in the parking lot, and I noticed that the parking lot lines, the newer parking lot lines, are sort of inconsistent with the old ones. Like, you still see the old parking lot lines, and I noticed a few, ditches and large asphalt patch. With some of the grant money that we have for our parks, since we're doing so much with the parks now, can we use any of that grant money to possibly redo that parking lot?
It was going to be part of the grant that did that park, but that money is kind of used. We're still looking at that project through Public Works and doing that project. It's on our list,
Okay.
so that's why we'll patch it, but we're not putting a whole lot into it at this point because we want to get in there and redo that entire parking lot. So we're not going to put a whole lot into that at this point.
And it doesn't look terrible, but I'm just thinking, with all the new stuff.
We recognize there's a problem there. It's just not a serious problem at this point. And speaking of the beach, Movies on the Beach is just about done. I encourage you to go out and at least see one movie out there. We've been getting very good attendance by the residents out there for Movie on the Beach. And I believe the last one at the end of the month, might be this week, is Jaws. So,
Jaws at... So you're going to view
Don't swim.
show Jaws right
At the beach.
at the beach.
at the beach. We're going to have Jaws. They're going to adjust the screen so that your backs are up against the water and you're looking at the screen at a little different angle. I don't know what else they have in store, but knowing our recreation, as creative as they are, it will be interesting. So I encourage you, if you get a chance to come out to one of those events, they're really awesome events.
Sounds good. Council comment. Jack.
One question, Mayor. The parking over here for the carnival, are we still doing handicap in the grass if it's not available in the parking lot?
Yeah, I believe you can pull in over just past the fuel facility and come up on that side.
And the folks
but you
back
still
here
have
are aware of
You'll
it?
have a walk because you can't come in that far. You know, you're only going to be able to come in so far there. So there is a distance. You know, it's not like you're going to be able to pull in there and then pull up to right up to the tents and so forth.
But it's going to be wheelchair accessible?
It should be. I mean, it's grass. You know,
Well, I know because of curbs over here, that's part of the problem.
There's no curb on that side.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention was, so much has been going on. I think it was last weekend I helped out with the Grind in the Pines over in PL. That was a pretty phenomenal event. I've never been involved with that. I was really impressed. The heat, the athletes that participated in that were just, I couldn't believe those folks still did that in that heat that we had over the weekend. It was a really good event though. I enjoyed it. And I'd like to I'm surprised there's so many faces here tonight. Thank you. That's all I have.
Ms. Jackson?
Thank you, Council President. I have a few things I wanted to mention tonight. One, I want to make a statement, and then I have a couple of FYIs for the community. My statement is I was offended with Councilman Jack Tompkins' comment last meeting stating Council's no votes was politically motivated in regards to his censure. As council, I believe we should support the hardworking efforts of the volunteers of our EMTs and firefighters, services that they provide to this community on their own free will, services that we could not afford to pay. We respect their expertise and have the confidence that they are qualified to do what needs to be done in emergency situations. I believe we are to hold each other accountable for any behavior that misrepresents the council. That is what we did at our last council meeting, and I stand by my no decision. I want to thank everyone, male and female, for their volunteers within the township. Another comment I like to make is that, well, actually I have a comment for the mayor. What is happening with the sidewalks in Lake Valley? Do we have any updates on that?
Yeah, we're applying for a CDBG grant. It's the grant we generally get each year. We received them in the past for $400,000 at the time. And I believe you should see that application for this meeting.
Okay. Thank you. One more thing, Council President. This Saturday at Dominique Johnson will be a free book bag giveaway, free food, games, moon bounce. There's also going to be a couple bikes given away that day. It's from 12 to 3 p.m. and it is sponsored by the Lifehouse Church, and it is open to all residents. Again, it's this Saturday at Dom Johnson in the Lake Valley area. Thank you, everyone, for coming out, and Council President, that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Cartier?
Is Public Works still doing yard maintenance, you know, after hours sort of thing?
Yes, they are.
And can you have them come check out? It's the house on Scammell or not Scammell, Coville. It's one block up from Berkeley. It's the former drug house that's back there. It's now vacant, but the grass is taller than I am. So they're gonna have their work cut
What do
out
I
for them out
graduate?
there.
How tall are you?
A little
I'm
bit.
6 foot.
A little bit.
I will get that information to them.
Thank you. I know the neighbors out there are complaining big time about that. They're thankful the drugs are gone, but, also, before we meet again, school will be reopened. So
Number
be
6.
cognizant of the kids out in the streets again, buses and so forth. Just be careful. That's all I have.
Thank you. I have no council comment this evening. Just like to thank you all for coming out. And thank Misty Palmer for taking our meeting. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Donna.
Anytime.
That's all. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.